Do not attempt to adjust your set. This is a Streaming Freedom Video Bulletin. It cannot be stopped, and it is the only free voice left on the net. Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's Skyrim video on PS4, I wanted to attempt to try to make a help video for those that might be looking for the information, although I really don't know who's going to want to sit through this type of video. I've received several questions now about the ZeniMax Terms of Service update that we recently received, that you may have noticed a couple of days ago when you logged into the creations page on Skyrim, that the terms have been updated and that you had to agree to them, otherwise you couldn't access the page. Now, I originally tried to find out what was changed and how it would affect us as the end user, and I couldn't find anything on it. Nobody was reporting on it. I've continued digging, and I did finally find something, but I want to make it perfectly clear before you get any further into this video that in no way should you take the information that you're going to be hearing here as fact or official information. I was able to find this information on Reddit, so that means it was from some user that said that they went through and checked the terms of service. They gave a link to the terms so that you can actually go and read all of it again yourself if you didn't when you had to agree to it, because anybody that looked through it knows it was extremely long. And they said that they had summarized, they had asked the big brain in the sky. I'm thinking they're talking about an AI, I don't know. But in any case, that it summarized what was some of the most important information about those terms of service, including some things that might be worrisome. Now, I've looked through that, and honestly, what is there, I think as gamers and with the way that companies are nowadays trying to screw us over on digital content that we purchase, a lot of this you probably already suspect. So, again, I don't know who would want this kind of a video. It's not going to be entertaining. There's a lot of legal talk, mumbo jumbo, that if you're a lawyer you're going to understand. The rest of us are just going to understand that the companies are trying to screw us over. So, for those that wanted it, here is the information that I was able to find. And again, please remember that this is in no way official information. So this is the information that I was able to find about the update to the ZeniMax Terms of Service. Now, this is on Reddit. I will leave a link to it in the description box down below for those that wish to visit the page yourself. Just be aware that there are other comments on this page from other users, and some of them are clearly joking about what the Terms of Service was updated for. The comments by this user, however, seem to be pretty legitimate, at least from what I read of it. That's why I decided to make a video on it. But again, I don't know how legit this is. So any information here is all the credit of Captain Cthulhu, or Cthulhu, however you prefer to pronounce that. And they stated, I uploaded the TOS at, and it gives a link, and asked the big brain in the sky to review for any concerns. Here's its summary. I've reviewed the uploaded ZeniMax Terms of Service, and here are some important points and potential concerns to be aware of. 1. Binding arbitration and class action waiver. If you reside in the U.S. or in most other countries, Section 15 requires you to resolve disputes through binding arbitration, waiving your right to go to court or participate in class action lawsuits. You have 30 days from acceptance to opt out of this clause, ZeniMax Terms of Service. Account ownership. You do not own your account or any associated content. Example, digital assets, usernames. ZeniMax reserves the right to restrict or terminate your account for any reason. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 3. User-generated content, UGC. Any UGC you submit grants ZeniMax a perpetual, worldwide, royalty-free license to use, modify, and distribute your content. This includes a waiver of moral rights, meaning you forfeit control over how your content is used. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 4. Modification of terms. ZeniMax can modify these terms at any time by posting updates online. Continuing to use the services after changes are posted implies your agreement to the new terms. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 5. Termination and loss of content. ZeniMax can terminate your account at its discretion, leading to the loss of content or virtual currency without compensation. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 6. Limitations on liability. Section 12 limits ZeniMax's liability in cases of dispute, restricting your ability to claim damages unless prohibited by local laws. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 7. Privacy Policy Reference. ZeniMax's privacy practices are detailed in a separate privacy policy indicating how personal data is collected and used. ZeniMax Terms of Service. 8. Virtual currency and purchases. Virtual items and currency have no real-world value, are non-transferable, and cannot be exchanged for cash. ZeniMax retains the right to modify or revoke virtual items. ZeniMax Terms of Service. And then finally, number 9, behavioral restrictions. The terms outline prohibited behaviors, including harassment, spreading harmful content, and using cheats or unauthorized software. ZeniMax Terms of Service. The comment here ends with Captain Cthulhu saying, these sections could significantly impact how you use ZeniMax's services and the legal resources available to you. If any specific sections require deeper analysis or explanation, let me know. And so, going by what I was able to find on Reddit, then the conclusion that I can make from that, and that probably a lot of you can also make, is that the terms are set up to do two things, and that is the same with ZeniMax, Sony, and any company. 1, to screw us over as much as possible, and 2, to protect their asses. I will say, and I know of course that legally, and since they have so many ways set up to screw you over, that digital content that you do not own. To that, I say bullshit. If I purchase a game, or I purchase content for that game, I'm spending real world money on that. I fucking own that content. I don't give a damn what those fucking companies say. Of course, they don't give a damn what we say, and at the end of the day, they've got the money and the power to back it up. And you know, ultimately, I think that is a really underhanded practice too by the companies, because where I can see to an extent some terms of service that should be agreed upon if it's a multiplayer game, so like you don't modify the game to have an unfair advantage over other players or things like that. In the case of these single player games, the majority of the time, or probably all the time really, it's the same thing. If you don't agree to terms of service just to play a single player experience that you're not affecting anybody but yourself, then you can't access the content, so whether you agree with the terms or not. That's ridiculous. On an unrelated note to the subject of this video, Tomb Raider Remastered, when that came out, I had to agree to terms of service or I couldn't play the game. Yet at no point before purchasing the game was there a warning that if you did not agree to these terms of service, that you would not be able to play the content. And obviously, of course, Sony on their side of things would have it set up that once you downloaded the game, you wouldn't be able to get your money back. So therefore, more or less, you were forced to have to agree to terms just to play the content. Which is the whole point of this, and why companies like ZeniMax and these other ones all have it set up to say that, well, we don't own it. Which again, I say is bullshit. I believe if you purchase something with your real-world money, that is your content, and you should have rights. It's unfortunate that the companies are able to do this kind of stuff to us. In closing, for those that might be wondering, because I did get a few questions about this, I don't believe that Skyrim was the only game to receive these updates. From what I could tell, it looked like Fallout also received ZeniMax's updated TOS. And I've never played that, so I can't confirm it, but that's what I've read, and that would lead me to believe that was most likely anything that ZeniMax covers, or at least maybe Bethesda related, so it probably didn't have to do with, like, some of us, myself included, thought that maybe it was because of all the external asset mods that have been showing up here on PlayStation. That could be a part of it. It could also much more be a part of the paid mod content that mod authors are creating for these paid ones, and that, you know, Bethesda is making the majority of bank on. Again, don't know, but it was more than just Skyrim, probably on all platforms that got this update for ZeniMax's TOS. So I hope this video helped you out. Again, I don't know how much so, but in closing, I just want to say that I guess if they ever try to pull this with me, I'm going to look them right in the face and say,
you know what I'm going to do about this?
What?
Nothing! Because if I take you to small claims court, it'll just drain 8 hours out of my life, and you probably won't show up. And if I finally got the judgment, you'd just stiff me anyway. So what I'm gonna do is piss and moan like an impotent jerk, and then bend over and take it up the tailpipe!
You've been here before, haven't you?
this has been a Streaming Freedom Video Bulletin. Peace out.